Howdy, I'm Dust Bunny. Welcome back to the Podfic's Baton Pass. I will be reading Chapter 27 of ShutterBug by I. Riley. After me will be Puppy Wanter reading Chapter 26. Let's get on with the fic. Walking into the building, Peter sees Clark wearing a black polo shirt and dress pants. Mr. Kent! Seeing the look on the man's face, he corrects himself. Mr. Clark, what are you doing here? The older man sighs but smiles. I'm here to bring you to the photo shoot. Peter nods. That makes sense, considering the man is Superman. After a quick check-in with Jen, Peter and Clark make their way outside and into a black car. It's a short drive, but you better buckle up anyway. Peter blinks, but does click his seatbelt on. He was going to wear it anyway. Peter gets the idea that Connor and John argue against it. As Clark said, it was a short drive. There had been a building a few minutes away that had opened a back wall, allowing them to drive through it. Am I allowed to go in this way? Seems kinda official. The older man laughs but nods. It's fine. You're with me after all. Peter nods and watches as lights pass them until they're in a wide room with a large circle on the floor. Looking around, Peter spots a familiar face. I'm glad you can make it, Batman. Clark waves as he heads to grab a suitcase from the trunk. Peter figures it's the man's own suit, and is proven correct when the man walks back in front of the car, now in bright blue and red. Was he supposed to know that I know? Clark, or Superman, just smiles, and Batman grunts. It's time. With those words, Batman presses a few buttons and directs Peter to stand in the circle with them. Once he's on, he's surrounded by a bright light. As the light fades, Peter's met with a view of multiple superheroes in various masks. Whoa! Superman pats him on the shoulder as he steps off the platform. Batman follows after, and Peter does the same. Where are we doing the shoot? Peter asks, wanting to start setting up. I'm surprised you aren't freaking out. Wouldn't most kids freak out by now? A new voice says. Turning, Peter sees a man in a red suit with small yellow lightning bolts on the sides of his head, a similar bolt on his chest. I suppose that's what you'd expect from a Gothamite. He's probably seen tons of shit. The man in the green and black suit gets cut off by Superman's shout of, "Language!" There was an hourglass-like symbol on the man's chest, and he wore a domino mask. Short brown hair swept to the side. I'm sure you already know this, but this, he points to the man in red, is Flash. I'm Green Lantern. He finishes, pointing to himself. Peter sends the two a smile and introduces himself as well. Nice to meet you. My name's Peter. While Peter had researched the Justice League, he didn't get the chance to do a deep dive on each of them. Mostly the founding members, the ones he'd actually be taking pictures of. Before he can say anything else, a woman's voice cuts in. If you boys are ready, we can begin the photo shoot. The woman was in red, blue, and gold armor, wrist plates, and a golden lasso on her hip. Long black hair flowing down just past her shoulders. Wonder Woman. She reminds me of Miss Nat. Peter thinks, with a smile. Right, let's get started, shall we? Peter says, sparking the movement to the room they'd be taking pictures in. Peter sees a basic setup, with a white backdrop and a few props in a bin on the side. Okay, do you have any particular order you need to go in? Peter asks, but gets no's in response. Does anyone want to go first? He tries that way. Flash and Green Lantern step up. We'll go, Flash says as he walks into the set, Green Lantern following behind. So, do we just stand here or pose? Before Peter can answer, Flash speaks up. You gotta pose, man, like this! Once finished, Peter watches as the Flash poses in a very unique way. I'll guide the poses so you don't have to worry about anything, Mr. Green Lantern. He gets a chuckle out of the man. Hear that? Mr. Green Lantern. He smirks at Flash, who gives a mock laugh. All right, kid. What do you got for us? Peter nods. Okay, Mr. Flash, can you slow down your run while you're still making the movement you've used when running normally? The man in red nods and shoos Green Lantern away. He starts to run a little bit, once Peter gives the go-ahead, and he manages to slow it down just enough, still allowing some of the afterimage to trail after. Peter checks the image and nods before turning to Green Lantern. Can you hover off the ground but pose as if you're flying? The man thinks for a moment, before doing as said. Bringing the lens to his face, Peter takes a picture and checks it. Frowning, Peter asks the man to try a more natural pose. The same thing happens a few more times, before Peter's gotten a picture to his satisfaction. Just had to find my good side. Green Lantern says as he walks back to the side, joining Flash, who jokes, "You have a good side?" Ignoring the bickering, Peter turns to the remaining heroes. Who would like to go next? Much to everyone's surprise, it's Batman that steps up next. Peter smiles as the man in black steps into the white backdrop. Is there a way you'd be able to fire your grapple a very short distance? Just enough that it's out of frame. The man grunts and moves to adjust the distance, as Peter realizes his slip-up. Shit, I'm pretty sure it's not common knowledge they use grapple guns. Holding the wince back, Peter directs Batman. Just act like you're about to take off from the ground. Perfect! Snapping the picture once he's lined up correctly, Peter watches as the man steps off the scene. Superman steps up next. Either a flight pose or a fighting one. Any preference? The older man thinks for a moment before speaking. Flat, maybe? Peter nods, and tries not to do any more fight shots after this. Clark moves into his pose, and Peter arranges the picture without much difficulty. Peter figures it's because the man is used to this kind of thing, in both of his jobs. Next was Wonder Woman, who put her hands on her hips and stood with her feet shoulder-width apart. Peter recognized it as a power pose. Without any fanfare, Peter takes the image, and they move to the next. This continues on until the group has all taken an image each. Peter had them grouped together for a group photo. For the front, was his reasoning. As usual, Peter asked to connect to the screen to make sure they were satisfied with the photos. Once they were cleared, Peter started to pack his things, turn off his camera, when Flash and Green Lantern had walked over. We're heading to the mess hall. Want to join? Flash points over his shoulder, where the rest of the League is heading. Are you sure that's okay? I wouldn't want to be a bother. Green Lantern speaks up next. It's fine, kid. Can't do worse damage than this one. Flash fakes hurt. This one has feelings, you know. He drops the hurt tone. But he's got a point. I can out-eat just about anyone. Plus, there's a ton of extra food. A Thanksgiving meetup. Just don't tell Bats, or he'll, well, make like a bat out of hell to get out. Chuckling, Peter gives in. It's a challenge, then. This causes Green Lantern to smirk. Care to bet on it? Peter gets the feeling he shouldn't have said anything. In the cafeteria, after they got to the mess hall, Green Lantern had told Peter to sit and that he'd get his plate. When the man returned, he had a plate piled as high as Flash's. Game time. This got a few others' attention, Shazam and Booster Gold joining them. Peter smiles as they join in on the bet. The odds were against him. But when were they not? With Bruce. Having gotten his food and sat at his table, Bruce waits for Clark and Diana to do the same. Hearing a sigh, Bruce watches as Clark sits down, Diana sitting a seat over. I don't know how they managed to rope Peter into the eating competition with Flash. The kid hardly eats. Bruce raises an eyebrow at this. He ate fine when he was over before. Red Hood said he ate about 8 chili dogs, too. Diana seems surprised at this. He seems too skinny for that. Almost malnourished. But it seems like he's recovering from it at least. She was right, of course. As she usually is. When Bruce first met Peter, the boy had been so thin Bruce was worried a strong wind would knock him over. Now, he looked much fuller, and isn't as pale anymore. He wouldn't go as far to say the boy was tan. Gotham's not really known for its sun, but he'd gained some color back. I just wish they wouldn't bet money on it. Not that Peter doesn't have the money for it. Seeing Diana's question, Clark continued. He sued Lex and won. She nods a bit, surprised, since Lex is known for his good lawyers. Impressive. The two nod, and they all turn their heads to watch the supposed competition. Peter has not only ate as much as Barry, but is also on his second plate. Peter seems to keep an eye on Flash, and watches as the man slows to a stop. Peter doing the same. You don't have to push yourself, kid. Peter turns his head at Hal's words. I didn't. Green Lantern can only blink as the $20 in his hand gets plucked by Booster Gold. Yoink! This! He waves the bill in front of his face. Would be mine. Seems Booster was the only one who bet on Peter. After collecting all of his winnings and splitting it with the victor, Booster made his way to Bruce's table. Hey, Bats! Can I talk to you for a minute? Bruce raises an eyebrow, but stands and walks with the man. Once out of even Clark's earshot, Booster starts, So, you know how I'm from the future and all that, right? Bruce nods, spurring him to continue. Well, our young friend over there, he's never been mentioned. You can't expect him to have. He's one boy. Plus, there wouldn't be any evidence of his being here. Booster thinks for a moment, before his small bot chimes in. There is no record of the Justice League ever doing a charity calendar, nor there being a new vigilante in Gotham. Bruce squints. Nightwing. Yep. Booster nods, leaving it to his oldest to tell the League about their current spider problem. Bruce sighs, but starts to understand what Booster was saying. Watching as they start to joke around, Bruce speaks. Peter isn't from our timeline. With Peter. After talking with some of the heroes, it's time to leave. Spotting Wonder Woman, Peter jogs to catch up. Miss Wonder Woman, hi. Sorry to bother you. Would you mind taking a picture for me? She stops to look at him. Didn't you take the pictures earlier? Peter blushes a bit, embarrassed, but presses forward. I did, but I was wondering if you'd take and sign a picture for my friend. He's a huge fan of yours. She smiles at him and nods, posing in a similar position as she did for the calendar, a more relaxed version if her expression was any indication. Snapping the picture with a separate camera he'd brought, Peter takes out a permanent marker. This camera is a Polaroid. I found an older one while looking for a laptop. He hands the picture to her along with the marker. You do take wonderful photos, Peter, she comments, as she uncaps the marker. What do you want me to write? Just your signature and to Jason on it, if you don't mind. She nods and does so, handing the marker and image back to Peter, who pockets it after checking it was dry. Thank you so much. I have to leave, but it was a pleasure meeting you. Same to you, Peter. She waves as he turns to leave, meeting Superman at the portal they'd come through. With Wonder Woman. Turning to the nearby hallway, she lets out a chuckle. He's a good boy, Bruce. Diana watches as the man slides out of the dark. She starts to walk as he joins her. He cares for Jason, more than he realizes. The man sighs. That's what I'm afraid of. I already have a touchy relationship with Jason, and now I have to worry about him and Peter. This causes her to laugh. You don't expect him to stay in the nest forever, do you? Bruce shakes his head. No, but I didn't think it would be this soon. She pats his shoulder and walks a step faster. I'm his favorite, huh? With Jason. Sitting in Dick and Celine's apartment, Jason watches as Steph sits down next to Cass. Celine herself next to Jason. Why am I here? They have the audacity to look at him like he's an idiot for not knowing. Girl talk, Steph announces, almost spilling her bowl of chips in the process. I'm not a girl. He didn't think he needed to clear that up, but apparently that wasn't the case. You act like one. Celine cuts in. Do not. She smirks at him. You certainly have a crush like one. Jason turns his head at that. Don't be shy now. It's a safe space. Dick's about to be down a fiancé soon. Is this hell? Celine laughs and pats him on the shoulder. No, this is payback, though. His kid self just had to be a smartass, didn't he? Resigning himself to his fate, he waits for the questions to start. How is Dick gonna be the first person you tell about this? Celine starts. Steph and Cass nod in agreement. It's just the way it played out. Jason shrugs and waits for the next one. How long have you known you like him? It's Steph that asks it. Jason pauses. I guess since the photo shoot. When he had my jacket on. He can't fight the light blush when he hears them giggle. If you laugh at me, I will leave. They cough to clear their throats. Cass goes next, signing her question. Will you ask him? Jason shakes his head. No way in hell. Seeing Steph open her mouth, he continues. I don't even know if he likes me back. He does. Cass signs. How do you know? Seen the way he looks at you. Looks at you the same as Dick does Celine. Doesn't realize yet. Hesitant. Scared. Not of you. Of him. When Jason doesn't speak, Steph does. Dude, you guys talk almost nonstop and hang out just about every chance you get. You literally just hung out Monday. No offense, but not even Roy hangs out with you that much. Ouch. He mocks as he checks the time. He's probably at the watchtower about now. The girls just smile at him. Traitors. All of them. Before they can say anything else, Dick opens the door. I'm home. He's cut off by a pillow hitting his face. Out! Girl talk! He covers his face as Celine throws more pillows at him. But hey! Jason's here! He tries to defend, another pillow flying at him. Out! She grabs a stuffed elephant off the floor and throws it. Hey! Not Sitka! She throws one of Haley's plushies at him next. Go stay at Wally's! He ducks down as the dog runs to get their toy. Okay, whoa! Okay! He closes the door as another pillow flies, hitting the door and sliding down. Sitting back down, she waits for Haley to trot back over and lay in her lap. Okay, back to it. Jason sighs. It's going to be a long night. If you enjoyed this fic, there's a link in the description to the author's original work. You could go leave them comments and kudos if you like. If you enjoyed my reading, you could subscribe. Or go down to the comments and tell me what else I should read. Thank you for listening. If you listen to the end of this, no, I do not think that people who live in Kansas have a country accent. I just have a very limited vocal range and want to make all of the characters' voices distinct. Clark is Southern by necessity, and because I live in the South and it is the only accent I can successfully do. Green Arrow did not get stranded on an island to be disrespected in this way.